Nintendo.
Hola, here we go, amigos y amigas. Here is another episode of the Top 10 Favorite and from what I believe are the best performances by some of the greatest actresses in all of cinema. Okay, honey.
Don't honey me.
My dearest apologies. But I'll be starting from 10 and then salsa dancing with hopefully not a devil all the way up to number 1.
You understand what I'm saying?
Not yet, but keep talking.
Yeah, I've seen every film attainable. You know it's true. Every film attainable of each artist. So every list is constructed from fiery, spicy, seductive y delicioso accuracy.
Anybody in there? Anybody home?
Holy Lord, yes. Don't scare me too soon, jeez. So in honor of Hispanic Heritage Month, we have an artist that you all know. You really, really do. She is an actress that you have seen in various productions, has received wide acclaim from critics and audiences alike, especially in the Hispanic community, but in my opinion, needs and deserves all the love and respect from the entire universe for her devoted work and love for the craft of storytelling. The astonishing Bonita, Elizabeth Peña. Elizabeth Maria, born in New Jersey, but where? Elizabeth, New Jersey. That's pretty perfect. But then moved with her parents to their native country, Cuba, where she was less than a year old, raised there until her family moved again to New York City. Perfect move for the domineering power of Castro, was horrendous and growing. But the greatest for her beautiful parents were so involved in the performing arts. Her father, Mario Peña, an actor, writer, director, and designer, and her mama, Estela Margarita Peña, a producer. So it was no wonder where little Elizabeth was going to go career-wise. The Peñas founded the Latin American Theater Ensemble in the mid-1970s, where shortly Elizabeth would be graduating from the New York School of the Performing Arts. That's right, the school featured in Fame. And yes, Elizabeth was undoubtedly going to make it and live forever in our hearts. This was the perfect time for an artist like Elizabeth to rise, for 1970s New York was definitely a progressive time for Hispanic artists to tell their stories with authenticity, promise, and honestly, more importantly, financial opportunity. This world is full of Hispanic artists that can share the most beautiful stories from their own upbringings that many don't even know about. Why? Because of the lack of finances, the lack of chance producers give to those artists. And it took people like the Peñas to inspire the community, to make it themselves, solution seek, and just make it happen. Elizabeth clearly carried that moral within herself as her career ventured on, growing up in theater, and before she even ventured to Hollywood, she founded the Hispanic Organization of Latin Actors with the one and only Raul Julia, giving opportunities to Latin actors for advocacy and massive support in theater with workshops and classes, building up the Latin actor with skill and confidence. Elizabeth was already a hero before she made it to Hollywood, and yes, she had to take roles of the young, sexy Latin ingenue, which is common for every young, attractive Hispanic artist when they start out in Hollywood, which is extremely sad. But over time, she showed producers and storytellers how much more she was worth and took the audience by storm with her inspiring range. Ay Chihuahua, Elizabeth Peña is absolutely one of those artists that keep on inspiring. I bet a lot of you never imagined there would be an episode on this icon saying, I have no idea who this actor is. Well, that's why I'm here, folks. Ever since I was a kid, I was inspired by Elizabeth's work. Yes, her beauty absolutely stopped me in my tracks, but beyond that, when you see her at work, you are truly stuck on her, for she gave such a groundedness to every role she portrayed that you can never doubt her abilities ever. It's important you all know her work, especially that work she accomplished in television, of course, starring in the sadly short-lived TV series I Married Dora with Juliette Lewis, which has one of the most amazing series finales ever.
He's not going.
He's getting on the plane. Mr. Peter.
It's been canceled.
The flight?
No, our series.
Oh. Adios.
Now that's a way to go out with a bang. And then Elizabeth hopped on as ambitious yet troubled attorney secretary Lucy Acosta in Shannon's Deal.
Lucy,
Yeah, boss?
which book is next to horticulture?
Fencing.
How do you do that?
Created by one of independent cinema's greatest voices, John Sayles. I like this show. It's one of those legal dramas that still had such great dialogue that just got lost in the shuffle, sadly. Though the shows Elizabeth took on didn't have much success, her television career was so vast between Numbers, LA Law, Resurrection Boulevard, the animated TV show Maya and Miguel, among so many more. But the biggest piece of TV success, though, has to be Elizabeth's fantastic appearance as Sofia Vergara's mother on the modern classic Modern Family. Even though Elizabeth was only 13 years older than Sofia, you still bought it. Not only that, but giving back some more for Latin culture with directing an episode of the Nickelodeon show The Brothers Garcia, which, 90s kid, give me a holla. You all remember this show? I loved watching this as a kid. Elizabeth stands out so much among the artists of Hispanic heritage, for not only was she such a professional, but a lover of life. Not just lighting up a room, but lighting up your soul when she walked right in, giving passion to the art form, but also bringing out the love of Hispanic culture.
When does the picture start?
It starts right now, muchachas. Let's get down and dirty and spice it up on the top 10 best performances on one of the most underrated gifts to theater, television, and most of all, cinema, the actress who could not be typecast, Elizabeth Peña. Oh, yes. Starting out with number 10, we have Down and Out in Beverly Hills.
Oh, Mr. Whiteman. Oh.
Oh, Elizabeth making a big splash in Hollywood as the live-in maid Carmen, having an affair with family rich man Richard Dreyfuss. But the problem is...
Oh, I have no green card.
Better yet, Nick Nolte pops in as homeless Jerry, who tries to drown himself in Dreyfuss's pool. But Dreyfuss saves him and lets him stay at their home for a few days, while Jerry starts to turn the family around for the better, including Carmen. Adapted from the French play by the brilliant Paul Mazursky, this film has been hailed by so many as one of their favorite comedies, including Roger Ebert, who gave it 4 out of 4 stars when it was released. Imagine that.
There goes the neighborhood.
I know, Richard. This is a role that Elizabeth Peña could obviously play in her sleep, as on paper, a hopeless romantic who just happened to be a maid in America. But we see the deeper intelligence from her once it takes a person like Jerry to introduce it to the world. She gives Carmen so much grace and loveliness that it's easy for anyone to fall in love with her. Numero 9, La Bamba.
This is not like I expected. You are not like I expected. I don't have a life here.
Yes, as the saddeningly submissive Rosie that starts out with such a heart of coal, being rock and roll icon Richie Valens' girl. But when Richie's half-brother Bob gets out of jail and comes back into town, the two get literally down and dirty, as they say. And though it breaks Richie's heart, she still travels alongside with him to LA, supporting the family, giving all her love and time and consistent loyalty to Bob through all of his horrible abuse and drunken rage, which results in Rosie having such a heart of gold, carrying Bob's child and just doing whatever it takes. It's a common story that's told over and over again. But this story, La Bamba, is certainly a rock and roll classic in its own right. And even though Elizabeth's performance can be seen as minimal, she still makes it count. Every single scene she has with Bob, played brilliantly by classmate of hers, Isai Morales, is so heart-poundingly engaging.
I'm pregnant. Well, aren't you going to say anything?
Well, what's there to say? It's not my first or my last.
You can never ever take your eyes off her, which writer-director extraordinaire Luis Valdez recognized. With his brilliance from theater himself and knowing who Elizabeth was, it was no accident, no brainer to have the beautiful soul of Elizabeth portray a housewife who wanted more out of life. Perhaps real love, but was always shot down. And like a pure Latina wife, she wasn't going to live it down. She was going to continue to be strong about it. La Bamba was entered into the National Film Registry in 2017 for its cultural significance, and Elizabeth certainly played a beautiful role in the ensemble for making it so. Numero 8, batteries not included. Elizabeth Peña in a Steven Spielberg-backed project is a match made in heaven, released the same year as La Bamba. What a wonderful year for Elizabeth. Funny enough, this was the very first film I ever remember seeing of Elizabeth. And how can you miss her because of her charm here as Marisa, a once again pregnant tenant in an apartment building in the East Village of Manhattan, patiently waiting for her boyfriend to return. But sparks tend to fly when Mason, a struggling artist, sees more of the beauty inside her. All the while, gangsters try to throw the tenants out, but maybe a few little flying extraterrestrials can save the day? Elizabeth is very much the young hopeful romantic within the many character plot lines incorporated in the story, which everyone remembers Hume Cronin and Jessica Tandy. Oh, so adorable. Wait until I do their top tens. But people forget how Elizabeth's presence, without a doubt, exemplifies a future Hollywood ingenue. Every time you see her smile, you just instantly smile back.
Maybe it was for you.
What?
Maybe they're here. Those things. Because of you.
Numero 7. Gridlocked.
We need a fucking doctor right now. You asked me about some fucking numbers. If I'd knew it, I'd have wrote the shit down. I need a fucking doctor.
You don't use that language with me. You don't know me. Where the hell did you get off talking to me like I'm some tramp on the street? Nobody talks to me like that when I am trying to do my job. Because you know what? I'll let the bitch die.
What is wrong, Gloria?
That man has lost his mind.
That alone is why her performance is so high here. Though quite brief again, obviously, with some even forgetting she's even in this picture. Elizabeth just nails the receptionist, just doing her job. Major thanks to a supporting cast that Elizabeth honestly sticks out the most. We have among her career best performances from Tim Roth and Tupac, Mos Def, but Elizabeth blows down the doors and makes her role more than what it is. How she was able to work in every little movement, where every little facial expression said more than what was needed. It's that theater training, I'm telling you.
Pick them up and put them over there.
Numero 6, Rush Hour. The 1998 block-busting action buddy comedy film of the year. No, the decade, with Elizabeth just fantastic and beautiful as LAPD bomb expert Tanya Johnson, who wants to be an acting partner with Detective James Carter out on the field. Carter played by the one and only Chris Tucker. But it seems she'll have to settle for a romantic partner on occasions. They're not quite exclusive. You know you're a big deal when you receive an "and" credit. We've talked about that extensively on this channel. When you watch Elizabeth, you know she was a serious actor who could hold her own in action. I love the big climactic end sequence where Johnson, being a struggling bomb expert, whom we saw struggle in training, now has to be put to the test in action on little Soo Young. Her motherly tone sets us at ease, yet fills us with tension at the same time. We love seeing great actors just get work in big budget Hollywood blockbusters, which makes Elizabeth's performance here a one that earned her a Blockbuster Entertainment Award nomination, and most notably, her second Latin Oscar Award for Best Actress. Numero 5, Tortilla Soup.
And thy fair virtue's force perforce doth move me on the first view to say, to swear, I love thee.
I know, my friends, you and I both only wish this was even higher, for this Hispanic remake of Ang Lee's Eat, Drink, Man, Woman is rightfully adored and beloved, and it's one of those arguments where the two films can't really be compared. Like Shakespeare, they are their own cultural interpretation, which I always love and support. Same as Elizabeth's fantastically meek and faithful performance as Leticia, the lonely chemistry teacher who was so devoted to her faith. But along with her two sisters and widowed father, the power of love might surprise them in more ways than one. I tell you, there's more chemistry built between she and Paul Rodriguez than what goes on in her own classroom, surprisingly. And Paul is so good as the ball-playing bike rider that quietly vies for Letty's affection, making her turn herself around and have a purpose of companionship. The sequence of Elizabeth finding the poetry on her desk various times, leading to believe it was Paul, to then growing the cojones herself to embrace him, but then finding out he knows nothing of the letters.
What poems?
The sorrow and pain she fights through is so injurious. We root for Elizabeth at every turn. Yes, we know every scene and movement is as predictable as a Taco Bell drive-thru. We know what's coming from a mile away and what's manufactured. But folks, it's a modern classic that everyone adores, no matter who you are, with more love built on the relationships with her sisters and a phenomenal Hector Elizondo as Papa Martin. There is absolutely nothing wrong with the art of crowd pleasers, folks, like what Elizabeth gave us as Letty, showing her expert level of romantic comedy, earning her 4th Latin Oscar for Best Supporting Actress. It's as delicioso as tortilla soup. Numero 4. Across the Moon.
Sit. You got it. You're wiped out. Finished.
Wrong. We got a few gallons of gas in the car. We're not finished. I do not surrender. I ain't gonna fucking lay down and die. I got a kid to feed.
Yeah, I know you all haven't heard of this film, have you? No problem. That's why I'm here again, folks. And my friends, Elizabeth's grandiose yet sensitive portrayal of Carmen here gets placed even higher because some love has to go to Elizabeth for leading a picture. She spent majority of her career in support, but when there was really a juicy chance to lead a picture, oh, this is it right here. Partnering up with the dear Christina Applegate, still going strong with Married with Children at the time of filming, they star as strangers from truly opposite sides of the tracks. One East LA, the other West LA.
All right, Beverly Hills.
Funny. Pulled into a crisis of both their boyfriends being arrested on an illegal gun deal, sentenced long-term in prison. And as fate would have it, they have an opportunity to room together in a shack in Tehachapi, close to where their boyfriends are serving time. So off they go, on the road, in support of their loves. But one thing's important. How are they going to earn a living in the middle of the frickin' desert? And are there going to be certain decisions and actions taken that will alter their lives forever?
We're looking for some action. You interested?
Absolutely.
$50.
For what?
For the action. What do you think we're doing? Selling magazine subscriptions?
As a film itself, the problems are grande. Plot holes galore. And it's funny considering this directed by Lisa Gottlieb, who helmed the cult classic Just One of the Guys. Remember that one? But filmmaking resources, creative solutions aside, what helps is the chemistry between Christina and Elizabeth. And in a pure naturalistic leading performance, Elizabeth just takes us on that dynamic roller coaster that affects our hearts in every vibrant way. It is mainly worth seeing for Elizabeth's spirit and power that she devoted to, even though we got some cool support from James Remar, Michael McKean, Peter Berg, and Burgess Meredith. Holy God, what? Elizabeth steals the show. By the very end of this film, you just can't believe the amazing Elizabeth Peña didn't receive more big-budget leading roles.
Let me tell you something my grandfather used to say. You know what the most valuable thing in the world is? The head of a dead cat. Why? Because you can't put a price on it.
Numero 3, the Second Civil War.
Are you aware that I was born in Mexico? See, I came here when I was 3 years old. That makes me an immigrant. He wants to keep people like me out, so I'm out.
Aren't you taking this a little personally?
I hope so.
Now, this made-for-television satire released in 1997 is more relevant than ever, entailing what? A highly excessive immigration issue. All from points of view from various news reporters and politicians, including Phil Hartman as the president. That's pretty perfect. But mostly including Elizabeth as a Spanish reporter, Christina, who has had a deep, intimate affair with Idahoan Governor Farley, played well by Emmy winner Beau Bridges, which sucks as well since he is down for closing the borders to immigrants. It is one hell of an ensemble cast, directed by Joe Dante, the legend behind Gremlins. She actually carries so much of the heart and soul of the film that in essence it really is a leading role, and how Elizabeth could handle comedy is astounding.
Go somewhere and have babies and lead a normal, sane life. And I want to get up in the morning and drive kids to school, and I want a husband I can trust.
But she earns those dramatic moments like a star when she has that big, dynamic scene fighting for her right as a Latin woman living in America. over this horrible war of immigration, going from standard translation to her own fire, which is a little against the law, but you still feel the heat. You want to set the camera ablaze with her passion.
But here it's different. The border is no longer just a matter for Washington or the Senor Farleys of the world. No. We have as much to say over the border as any bureaucrat in Washington. See, Los Angeles is not simply American territory anymore. I mean, just listen to our name, Los Angeles.
What's she
Does
doing?
that sound like an English language?
Letting us all know how much you've
San
meant to each other?
Francisco, Las Vegas, no. These are the names that our people gave them before the lands were ripped from their ancestors and distributed among the Anglos.
Numero dos, Jacob's Ladder.
You know, you really ought to get out today. Do something. Go to a movie. Go enjoy yourself. One of us should be having a good time. Anybody in there? Anybody home?
Who are you?
You know it, classic film lovers. The surreal dreamscape of a horror film of epically biblical proportions that Elizabeth just annihilates emotionally and, of course, physically as Jezebel, Jezzy. Yes, the muse to Tim Robbins' Jacob, who just came home to New York from serving in Vietnam, but experiences the utmost haunting and psychedelic images you would ever see. A total fever dream of a film, with Elizabeth in a role that was so sought after, mainly by other greats like Michelle Pfeiffer, Madonna, Demi Moore, Julia Roberts, and Tim Robbins' own girlfriend, Susan Sarandon. But director Adrian Lyne stuck to his guns with wanting Elizabeth, the very first actress who auditioned for the role. Naturally, the producers wanted the big name, but it's always such an exquisite miracle when a director fights for you, believing in you, and that confidence just explodes on the screen in the most scarily sensational of ways. When it comes to that party scene, oh man, it is a combo of brilliant filmmaking and editing. But you honestly do not buy it if Elizabeth didn't give it all her energy. Just imagine take after take after take on that sequence. You just wish she wasn't being possessed by the damn devil. Yeah, that scene freaked me out for decades. But Elizabeth has such a challenging role with navigating the dream, practically the nightmare of Jacob. How she represents so many things within his life, within this epic tale. Yes, indeed, Elizabeth's role is so damn important, so vital with the escalation of Jacob. And Elizabeth always held Jacob's Ladder as one of the most important films in her career, and with its legacy as a cult classic. You never ever forget the nightmares she created.
Have a good fucking day.
Now, escúchame, here are some honorable mentions before we get to number 1, The Water Dance. How I love this film. Made at a perfect time in the 1990s where independent cinema was everything, featuring Elizabeth as Rosa, an honest doctor of a rehabilitation center who treats her paraplegic patients in mental as well as healthy recovery after being paralyzed. Based on writer-director Neil Jimenez's own account of his own paralysis, it is so told from the heart, with an amazing cast of Eric Stoltz, Wesley Snipes, and William Forsythe in amazing career best performances. You see Elizabeth matching them equally as the doctor who cared so deeply. The Incredibles.
Hello, Mr. Incredible. Yes, we know who you are. My name is Mirage. We have something in common. Neither of us exist.
Yes, that's right. Voicing the right-hand woman of main villain Syndrome, Mirage, with her clear-cut, husky, classy voice, which What an amazing win for Elizabeth to pop in with Disney. I mean, specifically Pixar, the better half of Disney, honestly, in a 2-time Oscar-winning classic. She makes this role her absolute own, and we love it.
I called his bluff, sweetheart, that's all. I knew he wouldn't have it in him to actually...
Next time you gamble, bet your own life.
El Super. How I wish this was even in the top 10, for this film itself is a love letter to Cuban families all over, based on the play by Ivan Acosta, with Elizabeth reprising the role she originated as Aurelita, the only teenage daughter of Cuban exiles living in Washington Heights, New York, going through the hard throes of living as immigrants. This was Elizabeth's big film debut, and though released so silently like many international independent films, this is a beloved classic that the Cuban community holds so dearly as one of the best films made on Cuban life. And Elizabeth being Cuban herself, it's wholeheartedly a match made in heaven. How the Garcia girls spent their summer. A very special independent film, of course, chronicling 3 generations of a Latina family living in modern times of a drowsy Arizona town. Legend Lucy Gallardo in her last film as the grandmother, Elizabeth as her daughter, but then mother to America Ferrara. All 3 women look for love in the most troubling of times at their age. Elizabeth possibly finds love with Stephen Bauer, which is pretty brilliant chemistry. And it's these kind of films where you really do find Elizabeth at her most comfortably challenging area of bringing simple stories to life, recognizing its simple power when Elizabeth just lived in the moment. Nothing like the holidays. I tell you, my friends, this holiday film is a special one, notably for being a holiday film with a stacked cast, but mostly because that stacked cast was 90% Hispanic. Elizabeth's passionate performance as the matriarch of this specific family, the Rodriguezes, with her husband played by the brilliant Alfred Molina, who the frick doesn't love him? And this pairing, they look wonderful together. It's just too bad that the story is about Elizabeth's character, Anna, declaring at the family's first holiday dinner together after some years that she wants a divorce. And the family tries to cope with this, or rather try to fix it, without their selfishness getting in the way. Pure holiday fun, right? And because Elizabeth is so great, it becomes great. Numero uno. Number 1. John Sayles' Lone Star.
School's taught that way. Excuse me. I've only been trying to get across part of the complexity of our situation down here. Cultures coming together in both negative and positive ways.
My modern classic film lovers, anyone who's anyone, knows how valiant and simply bonita Elizabeth Peña's ground-shaking, Independent Spirit Award-winning performance for Best Supporting Actress is here, as Pilar Cruz, a widowed school teacher in the deep bottom of the heart of Frontera, a border town in Texas, who grows in a rekindled hope when Sam Deeds returns into town, a childhood love played splendidly by Chris Cooper, who he himself is on the mission to solve the mystery on who murdered Charlie Wade, the sheriff of this border town, before Sam's daddy took the throne, played by up-and-comer Matthew McConaughey, nominated for a Best Original Screenplay Oscar, linking cultures of all kinds in a state of change, a state of the American Western myth going literally and allegorically south. The new generation hoping for a new millennium inside and out, within this seedy border town with poetic skeletons in their closets. And among the great performances from everyone around is Elizabeth, holding the heart of it together.
Yeah, from the first time I saw you in school. All those years we were married to other people, I always felt like we were connected.
Relationships in this business are totally key. Having worked with John Sayles before on Shannon's deal, Elizabeth was a perfect fit for the universe of John Sayles. For there's nothing more theatrical than this modern world. It is the performance that showcased clearly how simple Elizabeth could be, that could impact the holy hell out of you, with its powerful Sam Shepard equivalent ending, without spoiling anything. The chemistry, again, that she has with the theater great himself, again, Chris Cooper, is like nothing else. It really feels like you see her fulfill how storytelling should be on screen. I would compare it to the likes of Ingrid Bergman in Casablanca, that mythical angel that you become so obsessed with, have fallen in love with when you were so young. She has indeed stated this was one of her favorite roles, for it found her at the perfect time in her career where she was just as youthfully beautiful, just as vibrant, just as vulnerable to show humanity, and a mother who cared and prayed so hard for a second chance.
I can't have any more children. After I'm out, I had some complications. I can't get pregnant anymore if that's what the rule is about. So that's it? You're not going to want to be with me anymore?
Quite honestly, when you look at the career of Elizabeth Peña, you really see the consistency of second chances within her filmography. You can see how badly she craved for second chances in meatier, juicier roles, because who wouldn't yearn for that as an actor? Because life is so full of people of all kinds just aching for another chance at something. No more stereotypical roles. But sadly, the industry is one consistent and constant. But through it all, Elizabeth Peña made it her own. She made it memorable and priceless. She was the 4th Latina to join the Directors Guild of America and among the most respected and beloved icons of the Latin community. I believe every young Hispanic actress should always know who Elizabeth Peña was. She gave heart and soul and hope for the Hispanic community. But she made the female lead, the female support so strong. I remember it being such a great shock when she passed away in 2014 due to a cardiac arrest due to alcohol. But you know what lasts forever? A joyful legacy. God, what a joy she was to everyone around her. A symbol of Hispanic pride, true beauty inside and out. Buenas noches, Elizabeth.
I have to take a nap.
Yeah, me too, señorita. But mi amigos y mi amigas, tell me, do you agree with my picks? What are your favorite performances from this class act actor? Gone way too soon, Elizabeth Peña. Share in the comments below. Share as much as possible, please. Any stories you have, we all love hearing them. If you like this, please click like, subscribe, and always ring that bell to stay tuned for more content to come your way very, very soon. Thank you all so very much for watching. Happy Hispanic Heritage Month. And always remember your worth and how amazing you really, really are.
Have a nice day.